You know, we have seen so many stories of white men in America who've been victims, quote unquote, victims of crime, who were able to stand their ground against criminals and in self-defense use deadly force to stop them. The store clerk in New York, we've all heard about that story where he was there and got into an argument with a female who was using her EBT card. He rejected the card and wouldn't let her use it. She goes outside to get a boyfriend. He comes back in and jumps on this poor elderly store clerk. The man defends himself and kills the boyfriend with a knife, but yet they charge the store clerk with murder. Why is it, Charles, that when men of color stand their ground, just like white boys do all the time and get away with it, when men of color stand their ground, they're locked up?
I think you're completely missing the mark here. And one thing you're forgetting is the woman also stabbed the store clerk after he stabbed the boyfriend.
That's even worse.
And she wasn't arrested. But what you have in New York is you have Alvin Bragg. And I'm not one of these conspiracy theory guys, but you have a radical district attorney, African American, who was funded largely by George Soros and other progressive radicals to implement reforms from the district attorney's office. Day one, he said he's not going to prosecute robbery as robbery, he's just going to prosecute as theft. He made a decision and wrote a memo proudly about it, how he's going to basically let criminals do what they want in the city of New York. He did it for politics, right? Of course he's going to go after someone that came to this country, got naturalized, been here 31 years, supports his family, goes to work every day, because Alvin Bragg, the African American, has nothing to do with his race, it has to do with his politics. African American progressive DA, he doesn't care about people that get up and go to work every day. He doesn't care about public safety. All he cares about is pushing his nonsense narrative that is endangering everybody in New York. It was endangering everybody in San Francisco till Chesa Bowden was removed. It is a serious, serious crime in this America that we're calling criminal justice reform, letting criminals win. Has nothing to do with the bodega cashier's race.
I agree with you that the
thank you. We're done? You agree?
Let me finish because you're all in the Kool-Aid, don't know the flavor. I agree with you that the elected DA is an African American, but that don't make him a black man. Because see, there's a difference between an African American and a black man or woman. What you have in that sense is, had that man, in my opinion, been white, the store clerk, who had been attacked by a black man and who was a felon, convicted felon, and did not facilitate, did not even instigate the attack, and defended himself and stood his ground, and the man was killed, he would have never been locked up had he been a white man. I believe that. That's been demonstrated all over America, that white men can stand their ground, but when men of color stand theirs, like white boys do all the time in this country, they're locked up. Now, the DA, yes, he is an elected official. He's a Democrat. He's an African American, but he's not a conscious, free, calculated, critical thinking black man, because if he was, he never would have charged that store clerk. That store clerk was innocent.
So the alleged victim,
she stabbed him too.
The alleged victim, who was on parole for assaulting a cop, had been convicted of other felonies, including, I believe, robbery. He was an African-American man, the one that attacked. You have video of the whole thing. He goes behind the cashier, the window glass. He is attacking. Looks like he was reaching for something. This old man was being deferential and trying to avoid all the antagonism and all the fight. Then the guy grabs him, fearing for his life. He stabs him just to escape. The guy happens to die. The woman, white woman, who stabbed the cashier afterwards, she doesn't get arrested.
Now what that tell you?
She gets applause.
Now what that tell you?
Well, but here's the thing.
What that tell you?
But here's
what that tell you? The black man committed a crime. The black man committed a crime and died.
Who decided he was going to file charges on a Hispanic worker.
You're wrong.
You want to make this all black and white? You want to involve race?
The black man committed a crime. He died for it. Okay. The white woman, she committed a crime, she got applauded and sent home. The Hispanic man defended himself and committed no crime, he got charged with a murder charge.
This is about good guys versus bad guys. You have a district attorney who has, since day one, has said, I'm on the team criminal. I'm going to do everything I can so New York becomes this lawless hellhole, which it has become in the last year. And you have a man, you are going to see more and more of this. People desperate to protect themselves. Good people that just want to, it has nothing to do with race. It's not black, it's not white, it's not Hispanic, it's not Asian. It's law-abiding citizens versus bad people.
The American population is sick and tired of the crime problem. Republicans are tired, Democrats are tired, black, white, brown are tired of the crime problem in America. And we have too many judges and politicians who are trying to cater and play political schemes to certain interest groups by being soft on crime. Don't be overly excessive on crime.
Well, let's be honest.
And don't
let's
punish
be
poor
honest.
people. Don't punish poor people.
Who is being super soft on crime and who's lazy? The Democrats are doing that. Now, I agree the Republicans went too far the other way.
Exactly.
You saw the bond
Democrats
issues
went
here.
too far to the left.
Right. It's a pendulum, right?
So the people got to bring it back to the middle. We got to demand the people bring it back to the middle.
But those of us in the middle, no one listens to. It's all extremism.
That's not true.
It's all extremism.
That's not true. Let me tell you why. Because the people in the middle is what will bring balance to this nation.
Right.
And right now, when it comes to crime, this nation is terribly unbalanced.
You're right.
When it comes to punishment of crime, rich against poor, it's unbalanced. But until we, the people who are in the middle, demand balance, we can bring it back
So
together.
basically what you're saying, to be clear, is that you and I are the Jedis who are bringing balance to the force, advocating for a better America, right? And everybody else is wrong. I can agree with that.
I would say that we Ice Cube and Day Day from Boys in the Hood.
Well, I got to be Day Day.
On Friday night.
Oh, am I Cube?
Am I Cube? We ain't Jedis.
I'll take Cube.
This ain't Star Wars, but I'll give you a Day Day.
Okay.
No, I'll give you Debo. You can be Debo.
I mean, Debo got them hands, so I'll take it.
Because nobody put them hands on him.
Oh, come on. Quannel, I have to give Fox 26 credit for being brave enough to allow us to tackle the pedo Petergate, the 4chan expose of more Hunter Biden and Biden family insanity. We've seen text messages where he's calling his stepmother horrible names, saying horrible things. Communications between him and his father that are alleged to suggest that he was well aware of Hunter Biden's unscrupulous, possible criminal dealings all over the world, specifically with China and the Ukraine, and it's horrifying. Probably the most horrifying is someone in the Biden family, possibly the president, and there's no way to tell right now, is being referred to by Hunter as pedo Peter. Peter is the name that is used, the code name for his father, but it's all horrifying. There's also some search history to suggest that Hunter Biden was possibly looking for criminal types of pornography, including child pornography, and it's largely being ignored. We do know he's under investigation for possible tax evasion and other crimes. I think he'll get a pardon. I don't think you'll ever see any consequence. People are saying you can't talk about Hunter Biden because he's an addict. I don't care if you're an addict. Get him help with addiction. It doesn't excuse criminality, but why isn't the media talking about it?
There's some serious horrifying things about the entire story.
Okay.
There's some serious horrifying questions about Hunter Biden, period, before this pedo story ever broke. My concern with the pedo story is this group claimed that they hacked illegally this man's private information. And this is not a credible news source that has been vetted properly, and the world can say, and those in this nation can say, this is a credible media outlet. How do we truly know what they're telling us is the truth? How do we truly know that we can trust this particular hacking group, 4chan, and trust what they're saying to us? How do we even know who's backing them and who's behind them? The Biden family has corruption with this Hunter Biden young man. We all know something is there. We all know that he's obviously involved in some sick things because of his drug addiction history when he was involved in a whole lot of other stuff that they don't want to talk about. But I'm not going to say the president is connected to it without actual facts. But this is an attempt by 4chan, I believe, to link the president to something that they don't have the actual facts to back up. And so they want to assassinate his name, because he will not be effective as a re-electable candidate, and he will not be a power source during this upcoming election to get other candidates elected on the Democratic ticket. So the Republicans love the 4chan story, but where are the facts?
So, firstly, 4chan being some sort of, and I've never been on it, it's like Reddit, it's some sort of social media platform, like a message board where they communicate. You're right, we have no idea who's saying it. But the argument you're making is the same argument that we heard during the election when everybody uniformly, except for I believe the New York Post and the mainstream media, called the Hunter Biden laptop revelations some sort of Russian collusion or some sort of falsity. It turned out to be accurate. This data is actually allegedly from the same data set. They just figured out, somehow got a password to get into stuff that was not accessible before. But it's not hacked information, it's not stolen information. Hunter Biden abandoned the laptop. And part of his agreement with that company, well, hold on. But what we have is we have photos, we have text messages, we have horrifying drug use and horrifying criminality that would get.
But it must be vetted.
But it would get
to prove that it's actually factual.
But black men across this country would be arrested for the things that Hunter Biden did.
Possibly.
Hunter
Possibly.
Biden has
Possibly.
power, privilege.
Possibly.
Hunter Biden is not a young man.
If a black
He's older
man,
than both of us.
1 second,
He's a grown-ass man.
Now I'll address it. If a black man's father was president of the United States of America, perhaps he would not be arrested. Let's not forget who Hunter Biden's father is.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that there's not some corrupt entity or corrupt body of secret power in this country financing 4chan to go after Hunter Biden to destroy his father and bring down the Democratic Party because they hate Democrats. I'm neither Republican or Democrat, but the American people must wake up and realize that there's powers in this nation, Charles, rich superpowers that are controlling the information that's being disseminated as facts to the people when it's backed up by lies for political purposes.
Okay, but I actually agree with you, but I think you're looking at the glass half empty when it's half full. I think you very much do have rich, powerful people controlling the narrative in this country. But that is why the media is ignoring this story. That's why you're going to have to come to Fox 26 to see anyone talking about it, because everyone else is ignoring it. And I think, much like you, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, I think this is what pushes this ignoring subject matter to push a narrative by a collusive mainstream media in Silicon Valley to tell Americans that what we need to believe and what we need to think. I think it's what drives people to extremism. I think when this store broke, if the news media said, hey, we're going to investigate it,
let me tell you what drives people to extremism, Charles. When they lose hope in the government and lose hope in the very system that we're told to trust. When they don't see justice being disseminated through the media because of certain people, certain affiliations, and certain power structure. When they see that, they lose trust in media. When they see that the system will not give justice to the poor and to the working class, and when they see that the system will overtax the poor, overtax the working class, when they see that the system will lie to the American people, and then when it's an election year, they will do everything under the sun and kiss you where the sun don't shine for your vote and lie to you, and then when they get elected, they turn their back on the people. The American people have to wake up. Like this recession we're going through, Charles.
I did not expect a horrible indictment of the Democratic Party for you, but I agree 100%.
Look, man, let me tell you something, brother. This is more than just Democratic Party.
Okay. But they're the ones that control right now.
This corruption is on both aisles.
Well, of course it is.
And the American people are the real true victims who are being played. Let me tell you something. They really have to keep black people and white people fighting about race in this country.
Right. They want to keep us divided.
You know why?
Because we stay angry at each other instead of uniting.
No.
That's
they
true.
want us to focus on racism and never focus on real classism.
Okay.
Because the minute we focus on real classism, then we will wake up and realize what's really taking place in America, and that both black and white people have been played by the system and corrupt politicians on both sides of the aisle.
Well, I think it's very similar with immigration. You have one that wants an open border and one that doesn't want to let anybody in, but they really both want to let people in illegally to allow their oligarchs to exploit them. I think you hit the nail on the head, though. They want us angry at each other. I think, and the media works with them. It does the bidding of the government, because if we're angry at each other, if we're not united as human beings beyond race, then we're not noticing that they're not getting anything done. Neither party. When Trump had both segments, he had both houses, had complete control, he got nothing done. Biden's got everything in control. He's getting nothing done. We're all going to hell.
Let me tell you what all politicians want in America when it comes to the American people.
Power and money.
All politicians want the American people to do what Muhammad said. Strain at a gnat, at the same time we'll swallow a camel. That's what they want us to do. They're using this social issues, especially about race, as a distraction for us not to focus on what they're doing with the financial systems of this nation and how they're preparing to have a slave working class and only a rich class.
So can we agree that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden have used his power and his access to power to sell privilege and access all over this world, specifically in China and Ukraine, and that Hunter Biden is a scumbag criminal who comes from a family of scumbag criminals. Can we agree on that?
We can agree if we agree that the Trumps are the same thing.
Oh, yeah, the same thing.
Birds of a feather flock together, brother. So don't you throw rocks at the Biden family when the preceding administration, the Trump administration, is living in a glass house while they throwing rocks also.
Okay.
Now, we not letting none of these criminals off the hook.
Agree that there's bad on both sides, but we've never seen anything like all this pornography, all these young girl searches, all this weirdness, and the family sleeping with the widowed.
Wait a minute.
Doing all
we
this.
did not hear Trump bragging about grabbing the pajamas
of the kids, though.
Of a married woman.
Could you know?
This was the President Trump talking about how it's easy to sleep with married women. This was the president who admitted to groping married women. How the hell are you going to tell me he
up
was
strippers? And the thing is, the media, every time they got anything on Trump, it was on the front page everywhere. Everything about Biden, we don't see it anywhere. And that's the problem.
Like Trump is more morally correct than Biden.
No, I'm not saying it. I think they're both scumbags.
Let me tell you something.
Biden cheated in law school.
One is a water moccasin snake. The other one's a king cobra. Okay. But the bottom line is they both two poisonous snakes, man.
I agree.
Like one is just more morally right than the other.
I'm not saying one is more. I'm saying the media is ignoring it in the context of the Biden family.
And I'm saying
that social media is covering it up, and America wants the truth.
And I'm saying
that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying the American people deserve
the truth.
Better.
We deserve the truth.
And we will never get better until we, the people, demand it and stop letting them distract us with small, foolish things when we got to focus on the real corruption in this country and give the country back to the American people, black and white and brown. We have to wake up. There's no such thing in America as the middle class. The middle class is only 3 missed paychecks away from poverty. They just a working poor, man. America has sold a bill of lies to the people, and the people deserve to have this country given back to us because so many of our ancestors have fought and bled and died to uphold this country, and we shouldn't give it to crooks.
But it's not America that sold the bill of lies. It's Washington. It's those people that go, we need term limits. We need to change our system of governance. We can keep the same houses and everything, the Supreme Court.
They're cancel the show after this one.
We need to stop having professional politicians feeding at the taxpayer trough, making themselves famous, insider trading, and all this disgusting stuff that's going on. We need politicians to go there after a lifetime of service. We need to take the celebrity away from the politicians.
What we need is
term limits.
What we need is a black, white, and brown march on Washington.
Okay.
We need a black, white, and brown march, and we ain't got to take no guns, we ain't got to take no bombs, we ain't got to take no weapons, but we can take the unity of common American men and women who are fed up with the corruption and the lies in America and go there by the millions and say we come to drain the swamp and say to the American government and these politicians, you will never put your interest of the party before the best interest of the American people. That's what we should demand. Let all races go to Washington, D.C. Then you'll really see a revolution.
You heard it here first. Me and Quannell, we're leading the 10 million man march. What, 2023? When we doing it, Quannell?
Well, I got to go talk to the man who led the first million man march.
I said 10 million. We're going to do it times 10.
Well, we can't get 10 million if we don't go to the man who brought 2 million on Monday, October 16th. So, Minister Farrakhan, you may get a call from this gentleman. I don't know if you get a return back, though.
Okay.